I bought this incredible Joslin blouse during the winter months, and I've been dying to style it up because I think it's beautiful, and of course it's been too cold. Now that the weather has really improved, it's got a lot warmer, I've dragged it out and I'm going to have a little play because I want to make it work. I will show you that it's not classically the right shape for my body shape. It actually ends on my widest point. I'm not a big peplum lover. I just think it's a little dated and it doesn't suit my figure. I think it works better on very curvy or ultra slim, but in between I think it's just a little bit meh. I don't normally like voluminous clothing. I'm more of a close fitting, more tailored person. I like structure, but I admire it so much on other people. I'm always looking at other people and thinking, oh gosh, I wish I could wear that. So that's why I bought it, because A, it's beautiful, and B, I really want to give it a try and see if I can make it work. It's very voluminous. This is a size 8 and look at all of that fabric. The sleeves are voluminous. It also has this sort of peplum sleeve, which I'm not hugely keen on. So I'm keen to find ways that I can make it work for me. Let's give it a go. So the first thing I would do is play around with this tie at the front. It actually is tied asymmetrically. It's off to the side, it's not in the center. I don't mind that because I'm not a big bow person. I can find them a little bit juvenile unless they're massive on the neck or in the hair, and that's very vogue. If they're just around the neck or around the waist, I'm not so keen on them. So if I actually do a bow there, you can see that it's kind of starting to look a little bit clown-like, to be frank, especially with these sleeves hanging down like this. So I guess the first thing that I would do is just try to get rid of that little peplumy part of the sleeve by bringing them up. Because there's so much volume, I want to give more skin. I have tied it in that bow, which I'm not loving, but one thing I could do if I did want to wear that pussy bow is to actually wrap this around my neck. So you can see I've wrapped it here, and then I could try tying it. If I'm going to wear a bow at the neck, it's going to be around to the side, and it has to be large and wide, not piddly. They are quite a narrow width, so I would open it up fully because this is actually very wide. And I'd open up both of the pieces. So I would bow it at the side like this, and then I would poof out those bows so that they are fulsome, like so. And how gorgeous is that? I would absolutely wear that. I'd love it. I think it's divine. But when we look at the rest of the garment, you can see again we've got all of this volume happening, and it's not going to work with the volume of the sleeves and the volume of the bow. So I'm going to grab this beautiful broad sash, and I'm going to take it across the front and around the back and to the front again. I'm going to pull it in quite tight, and I really want it to still be sash-like. Can you see that? So it's not bunched up, it's right up under my bust, and then it's coming down onto my tummy, so my waist is here, and then I would likely just leave that hanging down. I wouldn't bow it. I think it would be just too much. Now, what a difference. If I pull this skirt down, give it some length, I think that that works beautifully. If I had a little skinny belt, it might look a bit too 80s, but this is very modern looking, particularly with a straight white skirt and a gorgeous pair of slides. Let's have a look from the side. Very cute coming over my butt like that. Of course, if you didn't want it so voluminous, you could move the fabric around and flatten a little bit more at the back. It's just my butt pushing that out anyway. And then from the back, you can see flattering. Wow, what a difference playing with something can make. I mean, that just looks like a completely different garment, and that is likely something that I would wear. I wouldn't have any more volume on the bottom, of course. I would either wear like a cigarette pant, or you know, if you had the legs, you could wear a short or a straight skirt. I think that's just gorgeous. And even a longer skirt that's very, very fitted, the 1930s with the beautiful long fitted skirts and then the voluminous blouse up the top. I'm going to see if I can find something else I can wear on the bottom. What I've done now is I've turned the blouse around, and I really love it. It looks gorgeous. I love the little keyhole. The only thing is, again, it's got that massive big tie, which I've just tied into a bow. Obviously it's not going to work. But what I would do is, if I had someone here to help me, I would just tie it as I have done, and then I would actually tuck that tail inside the blouse and even wrap it around my waist, because you're not going to see it if it's tucked in. So let's just imagine that it is tucked in there, and let's try this tie on now. Oh, and I should mention, I've slightly autumnaled this look by putting on a velvet skirt and a beautiful boot, just very soft and still flowy, but a much neater silhouette, both the boot and the skirt. And I thought I could try, because there's no other bows happening, I thought I could actually try tying this as a bow at the front here, bringing it in nice and tight. I could either just go for a long flowy tail like that, but I think it's starting to get a bit much, or I could tie it in a bow. And I don't know if you know this, but this is a way that I learned to tie bows, and you just basically make 2 loops and then tie that in a bow and turn it so that it sits like that. And it works so beautifully, and then you don't have to worry about making the tails different lengths and things. So maybe to the side like that. That could work really beautifully if you wanted to go for something dramatic. And then over the top, because this is a wintry look, I might like to wear a jacket, but I found that if I put a blazer over the top of this, the sleeves are just a bit much. So see that? I'm just starting to look like a linebacker, and it's poofing out. There's just so much volume, it's poofing out the side of the jacket. So what I'd do is I'd wear these down, and that's a much better silhouette. And then a nice snowy bag, and there's more of a autumnal wintry sort of a look. Another thing that could be done with this blouse is you could either have the little peplums removed, which I might do, or if you like the option of having them, because they look so cute when you've poofed them up and made them cropped, is you could just tuck them under like that and have, see that? And just have that more of a balloon sleeve. I think works nicer. There's just too much going on here. It ends up looking a little bit piratey. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You can tell I have a bit of a problem with volume. But how much gorgeouser, how much more gorgeous is that? It just gives more of a streamlined effect and is still really stylish. And now for just a regular belt that's going to make things a bit more streamlined. And you'll see I've also put a basic linen pant on and a gorgeous, check these out. These are vintage, I love these. A gorgeous clog, heeled clog, just to give some length, because again there's just so much going on. I'm going to leave the sleeves down for now. Let's just see how this looks. And if you're wearing pants, what I like to do is I like to bring the belt up a little higher, just to give some extra length to the leg. There we go, brought in nice and tight, gives a beautiful silhouette. And then I'd probably cross-body this with a tonal bag, and that gives a lovely European vibe, doesn't it? I don't think I'd like double linen, but I think I really do. Of course, the last thing I could do is actually tuck the blouse in. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but let's do that. Fully tucked. And no, I'm not a drag queen, although I dream of being one. So I've put on a skirt that's not too fitted. I could put on a really super tight one, but I would just worry that it would bunch up underneath. There is a lot of fabric here, and you can see how it's poofing this skirt out. I would even just crop this, you know, crop up to the waist, and then just sew some elastic around the bottom and have it more like a crop top, which may be an option. I'm going to keep playing and see how I feel. I'll just take all this off and show you. So I've just belted it in tight. Doesn't it sit beautifully when it's belted in? Just such length happening here with the skirt. I would likely take this up as high as I possibly could and just have some little puffs there. And also this volume at the top helps balance out all this poofing that's happening here. Then over the top I put that faux leather blazer. And I think that works beautifully with the black details and of course the black tote. So that's a whole other look from this sensational blouse. Oh, and just one more thing I wanted to try that I thought of after I'd packed up is to do the French tuck. So what I would do with this, because there's just so much volume, I would fold it nice and flat. Then I would just tuck under the waistband here like this, and then I would take around to the side, and then I would take a broad belt and I would belt it in, and then you can see that the front part here is sitting nice and flat over the belly, And then there's this beautiful volume at the back, and you could play around with where you place that volume. So, you know, if you wanted it more like this, which I think actually looks gorgeous. I don't know why I didn't think of this. With the sleeves down, might be a little bit much. I mean, if you like that, if the skirt was more slim or shorter, it might look lovely to have all that volume, but I would probably just poof it up like that and then have this hanging down the sides. I think that's lovely, and it just gives a really chic, casual look. Don't know why I didn't think of that before. Another thing that is possible is to pull the blouse all the way out. Just came to me now. Then remove the belt and pop the belt over the top. I'm not even going to look at this until I've finished. This is probably going to be bad. I mean, if you like peplums, and if I had a more narrow skirt on, it might look kind of cool playing around with it. Hey, we've got to try these things. So I hope that was inspiring if you have something similar, and I hope it just inspired you regardless. Hope you're having a great week, and I will see you soon.